Good morning, everybody. Matt Moda here to give you my favorite NBA player prop picks for tonight. We're talking Wednesday, November 13th. I'm going to have 4 NBA player prop bangers for you guys to lock in, all 4 of which, of course, are of the plus money banger variety because that is how we do things here. Before we can get into today's picks, we got to do a recap from yesterday, which ended up being a decent day for me overall. I got 3 picks to cash. We lost 2, so 1-3, lost 2. The 2 losses were kind of frustrating. I had Clint Capella under 19.5 points plus rebounds. I mean, that one didn't even come close. The frustrating part was that was like one of the best CLV closing line values that I've ever had. We got him at under 19.5. That line closed at 17.5. Wasn't even close. Is what it is. Then we had Anthony Edwards over 8.5 first quarter points. That also lost. That also didn't even come close. He only scored 2 points in the first quarter. Then he scored 12 in the second. So just wish he had done that in the first quarter. But it's okay because we cashed out Jalen Duren over 9.5 rebounds. We cashed out Klay Thompson 4+ made 3-pointers. And for those of you that follow me on Twitter and that are on the Dub Club, we cashed out Grady Dick 20+ points. So ended up having a decent day overall, up a little bit under a unit. We're still down on the year. We're down a little bit under the 5-unit mark on the year because it was just such a brutal start to the season. We have been profitable 4 straight days, so we are coming out of this rut. We're just getting close to getting ourselves in the green on the year. Of course, last year, just an amazing season, up over 118 units. So I'm confident that we're going to turn things around and that we're going to end the season very much in the green. We just got a little bit of a hole to work ourselves out of. But again, 4 straight profitable days. Hopefully we are coming out of that hole. Reminder to subscribe, comment, like the video, all that good stuff helps me out. Let's get into today's bangers. Play number 1. Spurs versus Kings game. I'm taking DeMar DeRozan, 25+ points, plus 105 odds at FanDuel. So DeMar's having a pretty decent start to the season. His first season with the Kings. Excellent matchup tonight against the Suns. Absolutely love this play. He's hit 25 or more points in 6 of 11 games so far this season, so a pretty decent hit rate. That also does include a 34-point performance in this exact matchup against the Suns. Hopefully he can do that again tonight. He has missed the number in 2 of 3 games though, so it's a little bit of a fate of recent results situation, not a massive one, but missing it in 2 of 3 games. Hopefully he kind of comes out of that a little bit in a good matchup against the Suns. And that's the whole reason why we are on this play. It's because this matchup against the Suns, it's about as good of a matchup you can possibly get for DeMar DeRozan's scoring profile. Honestly, I'm just frustrated with myself that I wasn't on this the first time. With the Suns head coach, Mike Budenholzer, the Suns have a very simple style of defense that is very easy for us to back, or I should say, very easy for us to target as sports bettors. It's the same defense he ran going back years on the Hawks and on the Bucks. He sometimes got a little bit more creative with the Bucks, but whatever. What it is, it's a very deep drop coverage when guarding the pick and roll. So basically, they're going to allow players to pull up from the mid-range and pull up from 2-point range in general. They don't allow much at the rim. They don't allow much on the corner 3-point range. They funnel shots to the mid-range. That's generally a good strategy. Mid-range shots are the least analytical shots in the NBA, as all the NBA nerds will tell you. But it's a tough matchup when you're going up against the mid-range merchant, the mid-range king in DeMar DeRozan. So with all that in mind, to put some numbers behind what I'm saying, the Suns allow the most mid-range and the most pull-up 2-point attempts in the entire NBA. We all know that's DeMar DeRozan's bread and butter, right? He leads the NBA in both of these categories. He leads the NBA in both mid-range attempts and pull-up 2-point attempts as well. That's not a surprise to anybody that knows his game. So I'm not surprised that he went off against the Suns last time these two teams played. Again, a 34-point performance. Let's hope he can do the same thing tonight. That's play number 1. Play number 2, we are heading to the Spurs-Wizards game, and I'm taking Victor Wembanyama, 25+ points, plus 105 odds at Bet365. So been a pretty, like I said, decent start to DeMar DeRozan's year. It's been kind of a little bit of the opposite for Victor Wembanyama. It's been a little bit of a slower start, hit or miss start to the year for Wemby, but it does seem as though he's coming along recently. And similar to DeRozan, great matchup against the Wizards based on his scoring profile. So Wemby, he's only scored 25 points in 3 games so far this season, 3 of 11. So obviously this is not a hit rate type of play, but twice in the last 5 games, he scored exactly 24 points. That would be a bummer if that happened again. We would have just gotten the hook, but at least shows that he's getting close and that the floor is closer to 25 points than you might think. And he scored at least 20 points in 3 of his last 5 games, actually 24, at least 24 points in 3 of his last 5 games. He only did that twice in his first 6 games. So obviously small sample sizes, of course, but he's also coming off of his best game of the year. He scored 34 points last time out against the Kings. Hopefully we're going to start to see Wemby go on a run here. What's nice about back in Wemby this year is that we can at least rely on more playing time than we could rely on last year. Last year, he was mostly capped at about 28 minutes per game. He's played 32 minutes in 3 straight games. He's done that in 4 of 5 as well. In the previous 2 games prior to that, he played 30 and 33 minutes. So he's consistently playing in the 30s, and it's a soft Wizards defense that he's playing against. Wizards have the 3rd worst defensive net rating in the entire NBA, and they struggle to guard the ways in which Victor Wembanyama scores. Now, Wemby is a balanced scorer. Like, if you go to Props Madness and you look at his percentage of points and where they come from based on the play type, there's not one specific area in which he scores more than 4 points per game in that specific play type. He averages about 20 points per game. Not one specific set does he score more than 4 points on. So it's a lot where he scores like between like 1 and 4 points in a lot of different categories. The good news is the Wizards are weak in basically all of the categories. Now, I'm going to detail it here. Admittedly, it's a lot of numbers that I'm throwing at you. If you want to gloss over that, all you need to know is that the Wizards are weak in guarding the ways in which Wemby scores. But we're talking transition. 18 of Wemby's points come from transition. 15% come as the pick and roll man. 14% from free throws, 11% from post-ups, 8% from putbacks, 6% via isolation, and 5% via spot-up. That's over 80% of Wemby's scoring profile. Here's how the Wizards rank in those following categories. 5th most points allowed via transition, 9th most points per possession to the pick and roll man. The Wizards foul at the 2nd highest rate in the NBA, so that helps with free throws. They allow the 6th most points via post-ups. They allow the most offensive rebounds in the NBA. That helps with the putback number. They allow the most points per possession via isolation and the 11th most points to spot-up shooters. There's no hiding from Victor Wembanyama in this game, whether he wants to get to the line a lot, whether he wants to get a bunch of offensive rebounds, score in the post, score via the roll man, as the roll man, score in transition. It's all going to be there for Victor Wembanyama. Makes him a great player to back in this juicy matchup. Let's hope he comes through for us. That's play number 2. Next up, Grizzlies versus Lakers game. I'm taking Austin Reeves, 3+ made 3-pointers, plus 110 odds at FanDuel. You know, we had a pretty rough, a really rough start everywhere, but part of that rough start was with our 3-point props. We've hit 2 straight. We seem to be on a roll with our 3-point props. Let's hope that we can keep that going with Austin Reeves. I will admit for this one, we are absolutely not fading recent results in this one. That's generally what I like to do with my NBA props, but in this one, that's not what we're doing. We're backing Reeves, who's been shooting the ball a ton in a juicy matchup against the Grizzlies. He's made 3 or more 3-pointers in 3 of his last 4 games, but the reason why I'm comfortable still taking him, even with that number, even with that thought in mind, his shooting percentage in the last 4 games, has not been an outlier. Instead, what we are doing here is we are backing his decently absurd 3-point volume over the past 4 games, and then backing his 3-point prop in general because of that volume in a juicy matchup against the Grizzlies. With that thought in mind, here are Austin Reeves' 3-point attempts in the last 4 games. 9-10, 9-10. That's how much he's taken in the last 4 games, averaging about 9.5 per game in the last 4 games. And again, that's the last 4 games. In the first 5 games, he only attempted even 9 3-pointers 1 time. Everything else was below that. So he has been shooting a bunch recently. And here are his shooting numbers. Here is how he has shot in those 4 games. 3 of 10, 2 for 9, 6 of 10, 3 for 9. So only 1 game with these 3-point volume numbers has he shot at an outlier rate. Obviously 6 for 10 from deep, you're not going to count on that at all. Obviously not. He's going to be like a 34, 36% shooter. So 6 of 10 from deep, yeah, that's not what you can sustain. What you can sustain, 3 of 9, 3 of 10, right? Those numbers are decent. And we like the fact that he's getting up the volume of these attempts. Unsurprisingly, with all that in mind, Austin Reeves leads the Lakers in catch and shoot 3-point attempts on the season. That's on the entire year. It's only gone up if you look at his most recent games. And as I've mentioned a bunch of times now, great matchup against the Grizzlies. Grizzlies play a very aggressive style of defense that leads to a ton of catch and shoot three-point opportunities. They allow quite literally the most catch and shoot three-point attempts in the entire NBA. Last time these two teams played, Austin Reeves put up 9 three-point attempts. Now, he only made 2, but I'll gladly back him to make 3 if we're counting on at least 9 attempts. Just make 130 or three-pointers and we're good to go. We'll gladly back him after putting up a bunch of attempts last time against the Grizzlies. Let's hope those attempts come through tonight. That's play number 3. Last up, fourth and final pick of the video, Celtics versus Nets game. Cam Thomas, 25 plus points, plus 120 odds at FanDuel. Good defense with the Celtics. The way in which you need to target them lines up with the ways in which that Cam Thomas scores. The Celtics style of defense is similar to what you're going to hear me say based on what I said about the Suns defense, right? They play the drop coverage when guarding the pick and roll. So a decently similar shot profile performs well against the Celtics. You want to look for players who can pull up when running the pick and roll as obviously the ball handler. The biggest difference with the Celtics and with the Suns, but the Bucks are another team that play that style of defense. The Celtics play a higher drop. So instead of that leading to a bunch of like mid-range pull-up 2-point opportunities, it leads to more pull-up 3-point above the break opportunities. So with that thought in mind, the Celtics allow the 5th most pull-up field goal attempts in the NBA. 6th most points per game, the pick and roll ball handlers on the 5th most attempts. Now you want to look at Cam Thomas, right? How does that line up with where the Celtics are weak? Cam Thomas scores the most points on the Nets as the pick and roll ball handler. He runs the most possessions on the Nets as the pick and roll ball handler. Scores the most points on the Nets via pull-up opportunities. And he actually scores the 12th most points in the entire NBA via pull-ups. So decent shot profile there. Now Thomas, kind of similar to DeRozan, started the season on fire. He scored 25 or more points in 4 of the first 6 games. He's only done it in 1 of 5 games since. So this is a good situation where we get to fade a streaky shooter, fade recent results. And the one game in which he did go over was in this exact matchup against the Celtics. He put up 31 points on 22 shots. Hopefully he can do something similar tonight. Rounding out our fourth and final pick of the evening, that's all we got. 4 total bangers for you guys to lock in. Again, remember to like the video, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And then if you're still here, the last thing that I'll mention is the last thing I mention in every video. If you're interested in having all of my plays sent directly to your phone, the Dub Club is your option there. It's only $5 a month, so it's not like I'm charging anything crazy. $5 a month to get all my plays sent to you via text, email, or Telegram to your phone. It's the same plays that you see me give out for free on YouTube and on Twitter. The difference is you just get them early. So if by the time you're watching this, the odds change, that's when I point people to the Dub Club. Or if you don't always have time to watch the videos, we all got lives, or you don't always want to, you don't always care about the analysis, that's when I point people to the Dub Club. Again, it's $5 a month. If you're not interested in that, no problem. You can still get everything for free on YouTube and on Twitter. And that's all we got. I appreciate everybody for watching and have a good one.